Um, Thank you, everybody, for being here today and for having me. And I was listening to Diana's presentation and thinking, well, it's a good thing that these chemicals are lower in the mussel because that's what people eat, right? We don't eat the brain and the liver of the fish, most of us anyways. So I think that's at least a positive thing. So let's see if I can work this. A lot of the work we've done in the last 3 years has been in the Niagara River. However, what I'm going to present today, it relates to all of the Great Lakes, which is the need of recovering the wetlands that have been lost in the Great Lakes because they're very important for fish habitat, especially larval fish. And larvae are very small. I think I'm too far for this pointer, but I brought my own. Many years of teaching. So these are larval fish. This is the tip of a forceps, which is very fine. So you can see these little creatures are about 1 centimeter long, really, really small. These are the bass people fish and the walleye and the steelhead. So these are very important resources. And we started our research focusing on a prey fish, the emerald shiner. Most researchers laugh at us because they want to work on, walleye and muskie and big fish. Well, perhaps because I'm a woman, I was interested in the little fish. So the emerald shiner actually turns out to be the glue of the aquatic ecosystem in the Niagara River. These fish are native to the Great Lakes. They are very abundant. They occur in very high, big schools, and they support all the other fishes in the Great Lakes together with other prey fish. So they support predatory fish. They support migrating waterfowl that are piscivorous, bald eagles that feed on fish, usually larger fish that have fed on emerald shiners. And also it supports a local bait fishery. If you go to the bait store, you'll find these little yellow packages. And they're emerald shiners, many of them caught in this region. So it supports that kind of economy. So very important fish species. And looking at the emerald shiner in the Niagara River, we realized that the ecosystem is not as good as it once was. And this may be affecting their population. So one of the things that we first noticed is these hardened shorelines. There is plenty of these bulkheads, vertical walls, riprap throughout the river. These are areas where traditionally there had been a shoreline, a sloping bottom of the river that had plants growing there. The water was slow, and the fish larvae used it, and other fish were able to go up and down the river through there. Now these water velocities are much, much higher. The river is also dredged, and all these changes have created a habitat that is very difficult for fish to reproduce in. And this is a vision of what it should look like. This is also actually in the Upper Niagara. This is on the west branch of the Grand Island facing Canada. And this area is early spring. You can see there's a shoreline. There are some birds there fishing. There is a wetland area where larvae and other things can live. There is a vegetation, and especially the water is shallow. So organisms can move up and down the river without having to fight the current. So this is the vision of how the Niagara someday, and thank goodness we have Riverkeeper here, doing a lot of the work to rehabilitate the shorelines. This is the vision of where we would like to go and share the water and the resource with the organisms that live there. So we focused for our research, we had very broad vision for where we wanted to go. We are very grateful to the Niagara Greenway Commission for funding this project and the Great Lakes Restoration Act. And we were able to actually look at the whole ecosystem from the point of view of the emerald shiner. So we looked at a variety of questions. You can see them here. I'm going to cover some of that. If you are interested in seeing more about it, we have a website, emeraldshiner.buffalostate.edu. There's lots of the activities we do. We have a graduate student that maintains it. She's here today. And you can visit it and see all the different aspects of this project. But today I'm going to talk about larval fish and the importance of these fishes in the diets of predators in the river. And you're probably familiar with this because Diana and I used the same map, but this is a map of this project. She collected water quality, and we gave her the fish that we used for our project to analyze as the previous presentation. But what you can see, we had sites throughout the river. This is Lake Erie. The falls are up here, and all through the Black Rock Canal on both branches of the river. And this is what I'm going to focus on, the larval fish. And you can see this is an emerald shiner larva. It's about 1 centimeter long, very small. They're very transparent. And these fishes live among the vegetation. Now, the emerald shiner are what we call broadcast spawners. That means that they release their eggs into the water column. They hatch rather quickly in a matter of few days, or maybe even one day. The water temperature is high. But then the larvae drift or are carried by currents or swim into vegetated areas for protection. Not only fish and birds can eat these larvae, but also insects. They are so small, the insects will pick them up and eat them as well. So everybody is out to eat them. So they need the protection of vegetation, of wetlands. They eat very small plankton that occurs in these areas. The water has to be slow for them not to be washed away. And that's really the importance for fish of these wetlands, what we call nursery habitats for them. Oops. And when we looked at how many different kinds of fishes were found in all the natural habitats in the river versus the human-modified ones, you can see here some measure of diversity by family of fish. And what you can see here is that islands, creek mouths, and marshes have double the different kinds of species present than marinas that are man-made. So marinas are not suitable habitat, although they are very abundant in the river. So we focused on describing these wetlands in the river, and basically what you see here is we use sonar equipment, and one of our students had a little artifact he made to pull the plant, so we could compare the images from the sonar with the samples he took and identify the plants that each of these colors represents. So what you get from one of these surveys is a bathymetry, the depth. This is Strawberry Island, which has been also reconstructed and has a lot of wetland in it right now. And all of these colors are different plants. Then we go and we sample the fish, and we see what larval fishes are used in that wetland. And this is what it looks like. So half of the fishes are catostomids. This is the family of the white sucker. But the other half are cyprinids, which most of the little fishes you see around and some of the larger ones belong to. And you can see that more than half of them are actually the larvae of emerald shiners. So very, very important, these wetland habitats for larval nursery habitat. Then we looked at the diets of predator, and I have an example here for walleye and steelhead. And they both preyed heavily on emerald shiners, almost exclusively. And what you can see here, there are different preferences in adult versus young of the year or juvenile emerald shiners, but both of them feed a lot on these fishes. So they're very important for sport fish. The common tern is a threatened species in New York State, and they eat almost 100% emerald shiners. They rear their chicks also on emerald shiners. So when the emerald shiner population fails, these birds also experience stress and reproductive failure. So I would like to leave you with some of the actions that are needed in the wetlands in the Upper Niagara. But as I said earlier, this represents a need for all of the Great Lakes. We need to improve water quality, and pollution is a big problem, but there's also a big problem, especially in connecting channels like the Niagara, which is water velocity. It's very difficult for fish to move up and downstream when they have water velocities that they cannot sort out. For example, in this region, the area from Broderick Park to the Peace Bridge is solid vertical bulkheads and cement walls, and the velocity is so strong they cannot get around it. And it's compounded because on the Canadian side, with Nichols Marina is also vertical bulkheads. So in either way, they can really do a good job moving in and out of Lake Erie. So this is an issue, the water velocities. We need to soften shorelines, and when bulkheads are not really necessary, try and replace them with smooth shorelines, plants, and so on. Enhance the wetlands that we have, protect them. Some of them are being abused by boaters. We park their boats there or fish there. We should be more conscious about protecting the wetlands that we already have and try to recover them. Some of the wetlands have been totally extirpated, some of the islands that were dug out to build the 190. And some of them, the DEC is bringing back. We need to increase this effort, bring those wetlands back, bring the Niagara what the Niagara used to be. And control invasive herbivorous fish. I have here in particular the common rat, but also common carp is a problem. These are fishes that are from the Caspian Sea. They have invaded the Great Lakes. They are so abundant in the Niagara. We found so many of them. They're eating the plants. So there is a problem. We're planting and they're eating it. So we need to find ways to control these invasive herbivorous fish. And finally, we need to install fish ladders, horizontal fish ladders, to allow for fishes to move along the fast water areas, especially as they connect Lake Erie to the upper Niagara. Thank you very much.